the market has not done much in last 24-30 hours, and I'm happy. This time, I'm recording this video from India after 5 long years. I'm back to my home. I'm really happy to share this video with you guys from this location. Right now, we are looking at the market, and the market does show you it did not move much. For XRP, it's still inside the pattern. It did not break to the upside or downside. It is still inside the pattern. Whereas, if you look at Bitcoin, it went up, and the Fed rate hike just hammered it back into the pattern. What's surprising is that it shouldn't be a negative price action, but the market is considering it as negative. So the market is taking it in a negative way. Now, what is critical here is this is a bearish pattern. So inside a bearish pattern, when you get this kind of wick to the upside, usually we break to the downside. Now, this is crypto market, so we really don't know how it's going to happen. But looking at the odds based on the history, we can say, okay, there is a huge possibility we are coming all the way low, back down to 16,500 range, unless we break this to the upside. If the pattern is broken to the upside, now that's okay. Now, yes, the market shows you different things, right? Altcoins, say for example, Ether is at this point right now. It's not actually breaking higher, lower and all. It broke just back into the pattern. So if the moving averages are holding and pushing this back up, this can be a bounce after the breakout and retest. Now, one thing which the XRP holders will be happy about is what's happening right now. The anticipation of December the 15th. Right now we are here, so we need to see what we can see. Now, we all know it will be just something random, which did not actually make much sense. But I actually saw a conversation happening and I thought, right, this is really interesting because this is actually going to give you guys the real thought process, which I've been talking here for a long period of time. But again, the bigger YouTube guys, the big channels which give you the hypes of talking through the $50,000 per XRP, that's what's getting kicked off. Say these are the guys who are inside this ecosystem. They understand this way more than you, me, and anyone in the XRP community because they are working inside, right? These guys built that one. So right now, when they give you the perspective of why would they buy it, I remember saying this to a lot of people. XRP is on an open ledger, right? It's open source. You can buy this, I can buy this, anyone can. So when the theory is like, okay, if they really want to buy that, they can buy it from the world at the market price of 0.4. Why would they pay you 50,000 if they really can pay this much? Common sense. If you have 2 times food a day, you should get that. So when people come out and give you this narrative of 50,000 per XRP, you need to be careful of what you are listening. Now, yes, there are documents which actually give you like the actual fundamental of this asset is sky high. But really, even that explain 50,000? It's really hard. That's why I remember previously, some of my members dropped me some of the videos from this particular individual, gave me the idea and asked me like, what do you think? And I remember doing a video saying, okay, this is my thought process, right? And I never talk about anyone else. This is like someone asking what's happening. And right now, this is getting attention because these are individuals in the market shooting that XRP buyback theory of $50,000. Not like, 10,000, 20,000, nothing is going to be there. Because this clearly give you the idea, if they can buy at current price, why would they pay you this much? It really makes sense, right? Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10%. So guys, once again, I'm really, really glad I'm back home after 5 years and I'm doing this video here because when I left this country 5 years back, there was no scientific investor, right? And this is a new individual sitting here with the support from you guys. And I'm really thankful for all of you for pushing me through the time. Now, when we go back into the technicals, when we are looking at the altcoin market, nothing much has actually changed. We are still inside the pattern. And yeah, I want to actually tell one thing. The audio, the video, the lighting, everything has to be set up. This is like I just traveled 30 hours, had reached home, had a tea, and I'm sitting in front of you. because I built this community and the community always supported me. And I'm like, okay, I still have some more energy left in the tank. And I think I can actually give you guys what I think about this market. And that's why I'm here. That's because you guys supported me through good times, bad times. Now, diving back into the technicals. If you look at this one, this is kind of clear, like we are not doing much in the market right now. So if you're stressed about the market is not doing anything, literally, if you take one step back and look at this, we are inside this pattern from some time. So being stressed about this will only get worse because it'll be like 200 days, like 6 months. We have not moving, we do not move up, we do not go down. This is range bound trading. The only negative thing will be if we break to the downside. That will be really bad thing if we break to the downside. I completely agree on that particular point. Now there will be a lot of background noise, sorry for that. I'll try to minimize that from the next video. Now here, as we look forward to all of this, we kind of get this clear idea that we may actually have a wick lower, because a lot of people are hyping this in such a way. You're looking for $50,000 per XRP. Jesus Christ, that's, I don't know how to actually put that perspective. But for that, you need to understand like the amount of money which comes into the open market. And imagine you have 1 million XRP, say 100,000 or 10,000 units of XRP, and the price is going 50,000. $1,000 itself is sky high. So that will put you, me, and others who are holding this asset on the top 0.1%, which may not be favorable even if we are like 0.001% of the total population. I don't think that's going to happen. But what will probably happen in the market is that the market is going to do its thing over time, but it's going to test the patience from you, me, and others in the market, right? So you go back, look at the Bitcoin on the short term, and it's like, okay, it is forming a short term bearish signal, and that can literally go down. But what's the take out from that? Because if you're on a 3-day towards a weekly chart, now the literal summary for that is you're just coming back down to this range, and most likely you won't even test the bottom because the indicators are suggesting that you are having a bullish divergence, and you've been confirming that bullish divergence over time, which is actually super great. And right now, if you are looking at that, you can argue, okay, the price is trying to come back up and it's getting rejected at this level, which we talked previously. Because if you zoom in on a weekly, you can see we went up, we touched that range and got rejected. But as of now, this is just the retest of this broken support, now acting as a resistance. So it's clear, it's great. But at the same time, on the macro, you can see how historically this pattern plays out. Now, you may break to the upside, then come down, because historically we have seen things like that which cannot be denied. Even though we had a pattern like this, we broke to the upside, there was a macro scenario which happened. We know why this thing happened back in March 2020. And right now, majority of the black swans or the family of black swans are priced in, literally. So if you are hoping for another 50% downside, that's going to be really hard from this point, because imagine it's 80% down. That does not mean it cannot move to the downside. But if you're looking for risk to reward and making money as an investor, now you're clearly looking for all the indicators which the market is actually showing you, because it is clear from the RSI, if you are a conservative guy trying to touch these lines, you're close to a breakout. If you are a little bit optimistic and you're already touching these lines, then you're like, okay, I'm going to take it through this range where I get most of these points connected. So you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth one is like a retest and bounce. Whichever side you are, you still have that bullish narrative. Now, it's not taken out. But when you go into the market and look at like some of these are slowly grinding up, some of these are grinding down, you need to also understand these coins, some of these say ton, went really up in last week. So right now it's just testing its support. It's testing whether the buyers who entered this asset is just speculative or traders or long-term guys. If it's long-term, they're going to buy back as the price come back down to a key level of support and the price is going to bounce back up. So inside this market, say for example, people have dropped a lot of messages highlighting, okay, why can't you actually take a look at each bar? And I'm like, it's completely fine. Why wouldn't I look at that? Each bar is a technically, fundamentally, everything strong asset actually. Now, the question is, yes, you saw a bullish divergence in the Bitcoin, but you're not getting that here. You can say, okay, this RSI is kind of trying a double bottom, but right now with the price action, you cannot actually give a lot of certainty to that. Anyway, technical analysis is giving you the probability, and if the probability itself is too low, now wait and see what happens. Because if you remember, in the Bitcoin side, when you were looking at the price action, you clearly saw that the price came to this level for the retest. Here, that did not happen, which means the buyers are comparatively much more weaker than the sellers in this asset. So even though it's fundamentally a great asset, we are literally waiting to see what happens to its key levels. This is one of the key level for this asset, which we broke to the downside. Now the major support level for this asset, the next one is here. So I'm like, are we actually going down, or is some magic coming back into the market? So that's going to be a really hard question for a lot of people who are right now in the market. Because whenever we look at a lot of different assets, we see like, okay, meme coins are doing great. So we actually pick a meme coin here, which is Dogecoin. Fine. And if you're actually looking at Dogecoin on a 3-day chart, it is performing much better than a lot of different strong fundamental large assets. But now technical, right? You're on a macro, you're looking at things like and saying like, okay, this is a trend line. We broke that to the upside, and that trend line has been valid for a very long time. And right now we are breaking to the downside, which actually means that something big, because it's been inside that pattern for a very long time. Now, did we actually create a higher high? No, not yet. What are we doing right now in the price action? Clearly, we put in a new high compared to this one here. Great. We put in a new low, which is higher though compared to this one, but we did not get a follow-up of making a new high here and a new low somewhere here. So if we get this as a new low, it's good, it's fine, we made a higher low, but we need to make another high here, above this one, and then above this one. So the market right now is slowly turning bullish, but it's not super bullish. So if you're being hyped into the market saying, okay, we are going to hit this level in next 30 days, most likely that's going to be really hard, because the market shows here assets are getting a little bit weaker. But on the monthly chart, now this is like the macro scenario, you are still in that negative territory. You are right now testing the 50-day moving average. If you put in the 200 moving average here, say on a 3-day chart for Ether, we are now way lower than that. So unless we see 20-day moving average, the green line here crossing the blue line to the upside, it's going to be really hard, because last time we tried to cross, but the bears kicked us back down. So that's the story for Ether. If we make that happen this time around, now things are changing. But we need to get a confirmation first. Otherwise, it's going to be a terrible market, maybe for next 10-15 days. Now, events in the market is still there, right? You go in the market, you just look at like, okay, I want to make sense of the macro side of the market. What's the stock market doing? What's the dollar doing? And if you're on a daily chart looking at the dollar, you're like, okay, dollar just bounced upside with a 50 points hike in the Fed. But again, remember, this is the pattern. And this is where I'm personally like, okay, that really looks good for me. Because you went up and you hit the resistance and you're kind of slowing down. And then you can clearly put in whichever indicator you want. But for me, I'll actually go with the RSI. And then look at this. The RSI is slowing down at this point, which is actually not bad. And you plot this, you're like, okay, we tried to break it, but we are breaking back down, which will give you a sense of possibility that, okay, we are most likely going to come back down to this point, which means dollar come down, stock slowly bounce, and you will see the price action happening even in the crypto market. Now, this is something we talked about, right? Netflix. We told you like, okay, there is going to be an opportunity like this. And right now we broke this pattern to the downside. Now, I really don't remember when we talked about this. Maybe we were here or here. But the reason for that is this is historically a corrective pattern. And that's the same thing what we are observing right now in the Bitcoin. And that is why I'm saying if we just actually literally got this pattern, and we actually should be a little bit concerned on the short. Now, concerned only if you are a short-term guy and you are scared about the short-term fluctuation, because if you are not worried about the short-term noise like this, say for example, something similar to this happens in crypto market. You go down. Now, this is a 4-hour chart. So what you're observing here in time can be just 2 months. You come down, you go back up. All of that can happen just inside the 2 months. But when you actually go on a daily chart, you're like, okay, what's happening? This is your trend line. You broke that to the downside. Now your major support for the long term comes down here, and you don't have too much room there. If you observe the RSI, this is clear. You don't have too much room to the downside. So you may not actually come maybe to this level. Maybe you'll come there. Maybe you may not, because the RSI is going to get supported at the historical level. And if it bounces there, that means the trend is going to continue. The price is going to go back up. Now, this asset in stock market doing that clearly will give you a narrative of what you can expect in most of these assets. Now, especially the assets which are actually inside a long-term trend, like quant. You can actually see the long-term trend here clear, right? So if that break happens, what will be priced in the market? It will come back down, try kicking a lot of leverage traders out, and then move back up. Now, why this level? Why a wick to the downside there? Because this happens to be the support level previously, and a lot of people would have put their stop losses here. And if the price is coming down to 87, 85, a lot of people will be kicked out, and then the market will grind back up. Now, why is that? You look at the history, you can see that historically speaking, that happens every time. So whichever asset you are in, especially for me, it's actually XRP. So we are going back onto the XRP chart on, say, daily, which gives us more noise, but we can make sense of it. We're trying to actually look at what's happening in the market. And as you look through that, it kind of gets even more clearer, for me at least, saying like, okay, this pattern is still holding compared to all of the patterns which were like, getting a fake out. And on a 3-day chart, you just look at your RSI. Your RSI on a 3-day chart for XRP is actually showing you like, okay, you are holding this level. Now, if you break to the downside, now your retest is coming back in. And where are you expecting the price to come back? Here at 35. And right now it's 43. So on the RSI, you don't have too much downside. So literally, which means this trend line can hold for XRP. So when XRP drops, 0.33. Remember, we talked about this maybe within last 10 days, we talked about this scenario coming back down to 0.33 and then going back up, breaking this level. So guys, if you got any value from the video, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have another 5 minutes more, please do visit this new channel of mine and play a couple of videos and inform me how you felt. And thank you again for supporting this channel from the beginning. And we are here and we'll come back with another strong video tomorrow.